Okay, so I think we are good to get started. For anybody that's new, of course, I'm Bubblegum Lightning. I'm one of the PR managers. We have Wolfie here. He's the business developer, and we have Rhubarb that's using the Casper account right now. He's our marketing manager. So on occasion, us three will get together and do some Twitter Spaces, some communications work, interviews, AMAs, stuff like that. And yeah, it's been a while actually since we've done a CASPA AMA. Holidays have been crazy and busy, and yeah, looking forward to get started on that. Rue, you're actually picking up quite a bit of road noise. You mind muting? Wolfie, do you have anything you want to start with?
Well, I wanted to say just a super general. Sorry, there's a leaf blower outside. I'm closing my door here. So just in general, Happy New Year to everybody. Everybody around the world that loves Caspa and participates and makes us the best community in crypto. And I hope everybody had nice holidays, however you celebrate. If you don't celebrate and you just take a little break, that's great too. And we had a monumental year in 2023. We fought our way into the top 100. We got cleared on Coin Market Cap for that glass ceiling. If you recall a few episodes ago, we were stuck at like position 204 on Coin Market Cap. They have this glass ceiling that you can't really see, but you know it's there, and it prevents you, no matter what your rank really should be, it keeps you out of the top 200, for being the real primo projects, and which we already were for a while, but for whatever reason they had us held back, and then we broke through that. We made it into the top 100. That was a big deal. Then we made it into the top 50. That was a big deal. And then just around Thanksgiving last year, we made it into the top 25, I think. And that was super good. And then, that really solidified us as highly credible, like a not going away, flash in the pan kind of a project. So that was really exciting for us to push all the way from nobody ever heard of us, and we weren't even on an exchange, even one exchange in the beginning, 2 Thanksgivings ago, to bargain with the big dogs up there on the homepage of CoinMarketCap. That was really cool. So thank you to everybody who participated and helped us get there. And this year, 2024, is going to even be more exciting. We have real big stuff from our core developers and our wizard visionary Jonathan. He just taps into the Akashic record or something and pulls these revolutionary ideas out of nowhere or somewhere, and thinks about them for a while. Then he writes them down, and then our developers bring them to life in lines of code. And us, the community, we all help test it and mine it and do transactions. And so it's this incredible thing from around the world, people from all over. There's people from countries that are supposed to be fighting, and we all get along talking about Caspa and making it a great project. So we have something really fantastic going on here. And I just want to thank everybody who participates.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Rhubarb, actually, do you have any words to add about this, especially with the global and social feature? We've had some exciting news about worldwide stuff that you've been working on, if you have a moment to talk.
Yeah, man. There's been lots going on. 2023 was pretty epic, especially in the last quarter. We had anticipating about 10 to 15 ambassadors, and now we're hitting about 32, 34 ambassadors around the world. So it's pretty amazing. So that's pretty cool to see representation around the globe. We've had meetups and events in countries all over the world. People representing either at a physical event or online event in, like I said, countries, at least 32 countries, so far. So that's been amazing. And yeah, it's just been kind of propelling the name of Caspa around the crypto space.
That's awesome. You were trailing off there at brief parts, but I think we got most of that through.
Yeah, sorry.
So as everybody's What's that?
Sorry about that. I'm battling the traffic.
No, you're okay. Um, So to add to that, yeah, as you can see, we have Testnet 11 on the way. If you guys haven't checked it out, there is a blog post on CASPA.org news on Medium about how to participate, what it entitles. There's the release notes that are at the very bottom. If you're interested in getting into more of the tech stuff, digging into what they've done on GitHub is quite substantial. So they've done a ton of work regarding to updating, optimizing, and getting testnet 11 from where it was this summer to where it is now. And yeah, I think we're all super stoked to see that. If you're curious about hardware specs, they're also in there, so you can see what's required to run a node, how to do so, and if you want to do some CPU mining, you could do CPU mining, and there's also a transaction like simulation thing called Rothschild, so you could send like transactions to your node and simulate that, stress test it yourself, and it's pretty cool. It's not super complicated, and there will be I think an updated tutorial on GitHub. I linked one now, but I think it needs a little. Not, it should get you pretty close. We also have the testnet channel in Discord for any.
Uh-oh, Bubble, you're starting to drop out a little there, buddy. You were mentioning testnet
Showing you that
channel
they're
in Discord.
merging. Yep, in Discord. Yep. So they're merging repos on Discord, and you can see those and like have a timeline of how much work they've done, what's the latest, and all that good stuff. So actually, do you want to go into some testnet 11? What's this going to bring us? What should we see, Wolfie?
So, Bubble, Gum, you're a funny guy because no, you're not a funny guy, but you're a good guy and super sharp, and you get a lot more info. You're in more like taking notes and stuff. Contact with Michael Sutton, the lead developer, even though there's no titles, but that's what he would be if there were. We all know this. Yeah, so I just messaged him just to see if there was any extra tidbits, and I had a few questions myself, but I haven't heard a lot about Testnet 11, but I know in a general way. So just for anybody who's new or anybody who doesn't know, what does this all mean? So we have our main network, right? That was started like 2 Thanksgivings ago. So November 7th, 2021, they started the real Caspa network. That's the one that all the miners are on right now. That's the one where if you have any coins, that's where they live. That's the one all the exchanges are tied into. And that one is primarily running on the old language, which is Golang. So it's programmed in the original programming language, and it's running our network hyper stable for over 2 years now. So it's doing a great job. And the block time of that network is 1 block per second. So every second, on average, somebody somewhere in the world solves the hash for the next block, and they get the coin reward for that block. So this moves our transactions nice and fast, very, very fast. Pretty much, it's the fastest proof of work in the world already at 1 block per second. The only thing that we've heard of that's faster, I believe, is Solana has like a 400 millisecond block time or so, like 2.5 blocks every second are in Solana. However, that's a proof of stake network, and it's just a bunch of servers in data centers around the world that all agree if transactions are valid or not. So they issued the coins, they write the software, they decide if a transaction is valid. So it's centralized. It's pretty much just like, like game credits in like World of Warcraft, like gold coins or something. Somebody else made the coins. Somebody else says if you're allowed to keep your coins or send them to someone else. So that's not really what we were going for over here. We have miners, like I said, and most of you guys are aware of. And these guys are participating in the hash rate of the network, contributing to it, and for rewards in coins, just like Bitcoin. And speaking of Bitcoin, Bitcoin's the granddaddy of them all. We respect Bitcoin, and there should be some interesting news next week that a lot of people are aware of regarding a Bitcoin ETF. but Bitcoin's #1 in revenue produced on a daily basis of mineable coins. Bitcoin probably makes 25 or $30 million a day that it puts out to the miners of the world who participate. Caspa is #2 of all the mineable coins in the world. Caspa worked its way up the ladder right underneath Granddaddy Bitcoin. And we're producing somewhere, it depends on the price of our coin, it changes on an hourly basis, but somewhere between $1 and $2 million a day of revenue go into are paid out to Caspa miners. So that's quite an achievement in itself. But anyway, so that's our right now network, 1 block per second. Testnet 11, I don't know why it's called 11, but maybe it has something to do with binary or something. I have no idea. Or maybe not. Maybe they just had other ones before it, I'm sure. But anyway, Testnet 11 is faster. It's 10 times faster. So the good old Bitcoin granddaddy, we are right now, our right now network, the main network is 600 times faster than Bitcoin, which is already quite an accomplishment. But Testnet 11 at 10 blocks per second, that's 6,000 times faster than Bitcoin. And it's also 4 times faster than Solana. So that's really breakthrough tech, and that's world record setting. So if you're not aware, our first run at Testnet 11 was a very rough, just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. We ran it, I think it was June or July, last spring, early summer. Our wizards had the first version of Rust, and they set it to run at 10 blocks per second. And they did a little run, and it ran decent. It ran incredibly well for the first try ever in the world. And I think it ran for about a day and a half. And then they made several observations about problems, bottlenecks and things that were impeding its ability to perform smoothly, like the main network is now at 1 block per second. So they marked down a lot of things that needed to get makeover magic, and then they've been working on that ever since. So like 5 or 6 months of hardcore geeking out. These guys have been revising, improving, and perfecting, and like, I'm not a developer, but they don't just fix a problem like, hey, this thing's a little bit slowing us down a little bit, this like the mempool like logic or whatever. They don't just like patch it a little and make it good enough. They like hyper geek out and rewrite it from scratch and make it like 32 times faster than it was before. They don't, so something like unbelievable, like orders of magnitude better performance than the original version. And I saw people that are probably like people that are looking for the next green candle project. Oh, this one's going up, that one's going up. But I saw people complaining a little bit like, hey, like where's Rust? Like we put in this money and to crowdfund it, and it wasn't delivered in 7 to 9 months. Like, hey, this is a ripoff. How do you do this and collect money and then you don't deliver when promised? But that was just somebody who got a little impatient, which is understandable, especially if you're a little bit younger of a person than I am, because we all know how that goes. But the good news is they weren't just like messing around and playing video games with someone else's money or nothing. They were just, hardcore refining it and making it perfect. So one of the things I did ask Sutton, Mr. Michael Sutton, just a few moments ago, let me see his exact answer. So I asked him like, hey, do we expect this version of Testnet 11 to be like a few weeks or what? And he said, hopefully months. I assume that we'll get feedback from running it that will help us improve it, but the goal is to keep it up and steady and apply fixes on the run when the need comes. So this is like the real deal. This is like fine-tuning it for production, really. Once this is perfected, then there's going to be a day when a hard fork at a certain block number is put into the main software, and the whole network, the main network changes and gets 10 times faster. So that's what this is trying to do. This is the goal.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, I want to hit on just a few points. You made some really good points throughout that. So I'll start with the Solana example that you're using. It's really important to note when you're comparing to like proof of stake, how Wolfie was mentioning, like they're not as decentralized and they're like, proof of stake's been known to be a centralized entity. They're actually sacrificing decentralization to get these speeds. We're not. We're Caspa's like solved the blockchain trilemma, and it doesn't make any of these sacrifices to get to these speeds. So that in itself is revolutionary. Like we're not making any sacrifices whatsoever as far as the consensus goes. We're not like pushing off decentralization to get more security. We're not doing anything like pushing off security to get more speed. This is how the network is. I mean, it's like to the core. It's just like Bitcoin, but we have the speed, and that's going to be very important when it becomes practical everyday currency, because that security is it's everything. Like if you can't secure your money supply and make it safe and keep it a fixed supply, then you're nothing, right? So that's going to be vital, and that's what's really revolutionary about Caspa. Now, if you're new and you're just joining, I actually linked in the kgicaspad.net link, which is a visualizer of the BlockDAG architecture live. That's a live feed of the network. So if you've not seen the BlockDAG in action, please check that out. I don't think we're going to do too much of a rundown on what like the foundation is, because we have so many updates to cover. But yeah, do please take a look at that, and that is what we're talking about when we talk about like the block DAG or ghost DAG. The ghost DAG consensus solves the block DAG problem, and yeah, it's quite a bit different than a blockchain. So if you're used to a blockchain and you look at this thing, it's gonna knock your shoes off. Did me at least. So also with the Rust taking extra time, more anticipated time than what people thought. Uh, Rust isn't. So Rust came in with the concept that it was just going to be a flat out rewrite, and it proved to not be smart just to say it's a rewrite. So what has happened now is we didn't, or the devs didn't just take Caspa in the Go language and put it into Rust and say, hey, it's all done. What they actually did is they took it and then they decided, hey, it doesn't make sense really to just give them a Rust version of the Caspa now that's at 1 block per second. Like it's not the end goal. So why don't we set ourselves up for the end goal, which is trying to get to that 100 blocks per second? And what they did is they actually like set it up, or they coded it in the way so that they have that 10 blocks per second, and then they can scale that up. So they might as well prove those 10 blocks per second, and actually in the long run, it's going to save us time by doing this way instead of like just rewriting it, making it 1 block per second, and then revisiting it again and trying to make this thing do 10 blocks per second when we just kind of cloned it. So it's not just a rewrite. It's this thing's coded from the ground up, all completely fresh from scratch and new. So yeah, it's a really exciting time. And with the first test net, um, it's not even speculation really at this point. It was proven that they hit 3,000 TPS at 10 blocks per second. We may see that again, or we may see numbers close to that, and we may see numbers beyond that. We don't know. That's the point of the testnet. So it has been shown that we can run at 3,000 TPS though, and which is an average day for Visa, and to be a practical everyday currency, that's a pretty good benchmark to follow, right? Like that's what we want to be. We want to be like a Visa. Rubar, I see you unmuted. You got something to add?
I was just going to say, just to go off of that, I think it's important to let people know what they means,
Oh, you might DC.
what this means practically.
So some other updates to cover. KNG is in like a closed alpha states. I was talking with Aspect, the main developer, I think it was last week, and I posted the little video of the BlockDAG visualizer that is built into KNG. So if you guys saw that post, that is going to be a part of KNG. Everybody's going to have that, and it's his own unique visualizer that is epic. I mean, it is amazing eye candy, and it's running pretty flawless. I've been monitoring it for like over a week now, and it's amazing. This thing is jam packed with metrics. If you are into like computer nerd stuff, specs, and all that good stuff, KNG is gonna blow your socks off. It's pretty wild. It is in a closed like alpha state right now. He is just coming back from traveling, and hopefully I'll find out more this week of what's going on. But yeah, this is going to be a really exciting release once this hits.
Yeah, people might not even know. KNG stands for Caspa Next Generation, and it's the new version built from the ground up, and it's based on Rust. So it has the Rust version of the Node software in there, and it's the replacement for KDX. So if you've had KDX going on a desktop computer to keep some coins in, this is going to be the completely new version. Aspect is a beast, and he's been geeking out all last year on this. And I have a copy going right now. I'm staring at it. Yeah, the block tag visualizer is neat in that it uses nice curved lines to connect the blocks. It doesn't have straight lines. Straight lines are cool too. We're all used to the straight line version. This has nice spaghetti lassos just looping and roping around, and it's very cool also. So this is neat. And also, KNG happens to have it has mainnet, or you can switch it to be on testnet 11. So I haven't put mine on testnet 11 yet because I think we have to wait obviously until the public one starts tomorrow. But this will be neat. It'll let people, I'm pretty sure, send testnet coins to and fro and see it at 10 times faster than we are right now. So that's kind of neat.
Hey, so I can't actually hear Rhubarb, but somebody said that he's talking. Can everybody hear Rhubarb when he just spoke this last time?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You did? Okay. So if he's talking, let me know. I think I got that host bug where I don't hear some speakers.
Yeah, go for it,
Yeah, I was just
Rhubarb.
going to say, maybe Wolfie, you can tap into this, is talk about the practical side to this. Like, what's this mean for miners? What's this mean for merchants? What does this mean for everyday users? And give your cool, awesome analogies.
Sure. So, for starters, for the miner, you mentioned miners. So, people frequently, it's usually it's new people who don't understand exactly the logistics or the variables of how the mining and the block rewards would work. But people, I've seen people in main chat say like, well, if they go to 10 blocks per second, then the coins are going to run out 10 times faster. It makes sense that somebody would think that, but that's not how it works. The rewards are per second. So whatever the reward schedule is, when you see a number, like right now, it's probably like 146 coins. Right now, since we have a 1 second block time, then on average, there's one block solved per second, and that miner who finds the next block solution will be rewarded like 146 coins. But if we were already at 10 blocks per second, it would be divided by 10. So it would be like 14.6 coins to each block, each of the 10 blocks that's found in a 1 second time period. So that's that. So you'll just be more likely to find blocks more frequently once the rate is increased, the block time is increased. You'll find more smaller reward blocks than like one big pop like every hour or once a day or whatever it is for people, depending on their hash rate. And then in merchants and sending transactions, it would depend on as the network hash rate grows and there's more adoption. We would hope that exchanges and things like that and swaps would scale down their confirmations required. So right now, a lot of exchanges, they'll want to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes until your coins get there and they're considered to be like locked in for real so that you can trade with them or whatever. So we would hope that that the confirmations required as the block speed, as the rate scales up and we get faster and there's more adoption and it becomes a very trusted network. It's already, I would say it's highly trusted, but as we really get around onto some real top exchanges and get a little more famous than we already are, people should start trusting it even more, and they'll probably drop that confirmation time down. One last thing that kind of it's not something that we need right now, like MEV resistance, MEV, the maximum extracted value thingy, because like people know, there's no smart contracts, so there's no DeFi taking place on Caspa's network right now. But there's going to be a day when there is, and increasing the block time, increasing the production, the rate of blocks being produced will aid in being able to prevent front running and not let bots and sneaky miners steal DeFi transaction ideas that are profitable. So that this is a great step in that direction towards that.
Yeah, absolutely. So block 618, Wolfie actually just answered that. The 10 blocks per second emission schedule, it will not be 10 times faster. The ways to actually look at it is most people, when they think of block rewards, they think that the block is fixed and that's the block. It's actually the emission schedule is by time, and the block is per second, and the emission is based on per second. So it looks like that's the block reward, but it's not. It's actually by time. So instead of what you're saying 10 times faster on the emission, what you do is if it's at 10 blocks per second, that per second reward is actually divided by 10, if that makes sense. That's going to be your block reward. So like he said, if it's 140 per second right now, and we put in 10 blocks, you're going to divide that 140 by 10. So it should be 14 per block. So also I wanted to note, yeah, no problem, man. I see. I wanted to note that Testnet is not mainnet. So I'm seeing some confusion with people panicking about like, what do we need to do for our miners and our nodes and blah, 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 blah. Is this going to change? What's going to happen with our coins? This isn't the main net fork. This isn't like the big deal. This is the big test platform for that big deal. So this is all tests. It's all voluntary. You do not have to participate, but it is encouraged to do so that way we have like more real-time actual data. It's very important though, if you want to participate in mining, to do it with CPU so we get usable data. It's kind of geared for CPU, so if you throw your GPU on accident, it's gonna like not be useful at all. So we really want to see the GPU mining happen so we can get that usable data. I mean, I think the node tosses those blocks off anyways if you do try to mine with GPU at the moment. I'm not 100% on that. But again, Discord testnet channel is your place for those complex questions if you want to know more on how to participate.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, yeah, for sure. I asked Sutton, Sir Sutton, why are we starting on CPU? And he said, yes, for max decentralization, testnet 11, tomorrow is going to be where they're going to ask CPU only. But then as the network strengthens and everything, if usually there's the class clown guy who goes and puts a couple of GPUs on and then everyone starts jumping in. So that could happen a little bit down the road. But for starters, we want to just have it CPU only. So like more people can participate from around the world. And then if it escalates, which is kind of normal over time, but we don't want to start it on the first day probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's all I need to cover on testnet 11. If you need the specs, again, that's in the article. If you want to participate, to download it, I mean, it's going to be through GitHub. Everything's open source and accessible. And will have a tutorial, and I think they're either updating it or it is updated. I haven't reviewed it today. But yeah, so we have a lot to cover, and I'm trying to pick apart the pieces. As we've seen, we can speculate that some exchanges may be picking up Caspa. We've seen some futures lists since our last spaces. We have a new, fresh Tangent wallet that is just landing on everybody's doorstep. It's a branded Caspa wallet. It looks pretty sharp. Ledger's still in process. I have heard them reach out about something. I gotta review that, but I think they're in the publishing phase of it, so they're working on language, and we have had Arculus reach out, which is I'm talking to. I haven't heard back from them, but this is all expected during the holidays. This is like the holiday lull. So more details on Arculus, hopefully. It didn't seem that the community was super into them, but we'll see what happens. I'll talk to them and find out more. So we also have a cool, well, actually, Wolfie's got a cool business that's starting up that aligns with Casper. Can you give us some more details on this business?
Sure. Yeah. So before I start talking about Cast Media, I wanted to just let you know. I believe Ledger. I saw somewhere they like merged the repository of our Caspa app into their something live Ledger or Ledger main something. I'm not exactly sure, but they basically they brought our software into the main like waiting area or main something. So that I'm pretty sure happened. And then also I think they want to work on they need the directions of how to use Caspa with the ledger. They need that like tuned up or something. So that's a really promising sign. Whew. But yes, Cast Media is something I just started a couple weeks ago. So it's going to be a kind of like it's not really going to be the Caspa Foundation because it's not directly connected to Caspa, but rather it's going to be a like a media company, and we're going to have some probably YouTube, like a YouTube channel, probably some merchandise, and we're also going to it's going to be for the purpose of spreading awareness. So like we need a place to be able to organize and event participation in global crypto conferences. So we need like me and Bubble and Rhubarb to occasionally jump on a plane and go to like a big thing like Consensus down in Texas next spring and represent Caspa and walk around with T-shirts and point and make fun of everybody that's not as fast as us. No, just kidding. And no, we have to really go and represent. This is going to be 2024 Caspa World Tour. So we need an organization, we need an entity to be able to do that. So that's like part of what it's going to also do. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so increasing adoption is going to be critical. As we've seen in the past too, the structure that we have right now is kind of like all over the place when it comes to adoption and stuff, and having something that's really in tune and aligned with just adoption, and like that's the focus. We're going to do it. We're going to get the word out there. Is going to be pretty pivotal this year, and I feel like the timing is going to be pretty good. I know we were putting it off for a year. We did have some offers to go to some conventions last year, but we were just kind of like put it on the side. Let's try to do this next year when the block DAG speeds up and we have like this cool like KNG to display and flex. So along with that adoption thing, so we had some issues with the language bot on Telegram. So if you're a Telegram user and you've noticed that the language bot is lost, we were hosting a bunch of languages, and what was happening is a bunch of the minor languages or languages that weren't using Telegram that often, they weren't being maintained. So we were having spammers like constantly spamming some nonsense, and people were getting scammed this way because they're new users, they're hopping in, and they were like thinking it was a legit whatever. And it turned out it wasn't. And the moderators either, they made the room or left sense or what have you. The channels weren't really getting maintained. So we had that issue. And on top of that, we were constantly going to Rob, hey, we got to create this. We got to, break this down. We got to do this. We got to do that. And the bot was like pretty much like beat to death. And it was like barely operating. So we created Caspa Global. I've gotten lots and lots of questions on this, like what happened to the original groups? Why did we do this? Blah blah blah. The original groups stay the same. Nothing's changed with these original groups. Caspa Global and these original language groups are still like all unofficial groups. Everything's going to be used at your own risk. There is really nothing legit official. We just have trusted sources. Like the Discord and the main TG. These are our like trusted sources that the community has determined these are the places where you should get information. So with Caspa Global, we're like hosting this area where it hosts a bunch of languages. And the point of this is that you can actually host your original group in there if you would like, your original language specific group. Or you can just take this channel and make it your main group. I've seen both now. So some people are just doing a complete reset for the new users, and some people are hosting their group exclusively, and some are doing a mix of both. Now, the point of that is not to like make things more difficult or make you redirect or anything like that. What it is now we have moderators from all sorts of languages all over the world, and this is giving us 24/7 coverage for spammers and reports and things to address. So it just kind of made sense for manpower and just the convenience of it. So I'm in there quite a bit, but again, like I sleep at night, so I'm not there at night. And if spam or something hits, I can't address it. However, now we got a bunch of moderators from all over the world that can cover these gaps and make the room safer. And so far, it has been like pretty tight. There's like been zero spam. I got one guy that is just a monster on hunting spam. So as for safety and to get information and to interconnect a global like information hub, this is huge. So I mean, with anytime there's different languages, we have language barriers that we got to get this information across to. Now we have like an announcement post and it just pings everybody in the language. So there should be no disconnect if you're using Caspa Global to what you hear in main. So that's going to be very promising, and I'm excited for that. Um, there was something else. I just drew a blank. Anyways, I've hogged the mic. Rue, do you have anything you want to add with languages or anything? I don't know what's covered. I can't hear Rue, guys. So sorry if I'm doubling anything.
You're blocking me. I know that. You can't hear me. Anyways, yeah, I think this is going to be an amazing year. Just to add on to Kaz Media's efforts and stuff, we've had a good foundation with growing ambassadors around the globe, translating things, especially with ambassadors and others that are helping. If you haven't seen the battle cards, we're going to be up to about 16 languages, probably within a couple weeks. So translations, accessibility, all that stuff's going to be key this year. As Bubblegum said, adoption. This is the year of adoption. So CASPA accepted here is going to be the hashtag. So spread it around.
Very nice. Thank you, Mr. Rhubarb. We like it. Yeah, and I also wanted to say just a while back, I believe Bubblegum, you had mentioned like big exchanges or new exchanges. So there was a lot of work done in the last quarter of last year with some big boys. And if you're not aware of how things work in general, I have a saying like the bigger the fish, the slower they move. Like especially like if you've ever tried to do anything with like a government or a huge company like a bank or whatever, like the really large entities take a long time to make any kind of move. So we have ones that we've been engaged with for a while now, and when the time is right and they're confident or whatever they're trying to do or wait for, something cool will happen and everybody will be stoked. So that's a good generalization of some good stuff's going to happen eventually.
Okay, so I think it's time to start taking some questions. If you guys want to speak, just request it, and I'll start taking in bodies one at a time. I'm skimming through now in the comments. See if there's any questions here. Unless either of you want to add more before we take questions.
I'm all right. I don't think Rhubarb has anything.
I'm good.
Okay, so I got one here from Mohammed Zain. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. I'm going to try my best. I'm terrible at this stuff. He's asking, do you guys have any idea if any current exchanges plan to add more pairs? We actually just did a poll for KuCoin. KuCoin reached out to me and said, hey, we're looking at adding more pairs, but we want to know what you guys would value the most. And I think a poll would fit. And I'm like, yeah, that's epic. That's awesome. Let's do that. So I threw a poll in Discord, and it was overwhelming choice to do Bitcoin. So there's supposed to be a Bitcoin Caspa pair landing. This was done in December, but I do know that they were working on it and they had to address it in January. I'm going to be reaching out soon to see where the update on that is. Of course, guys, with the holidays, this is the lull, so everybody's catching up. And depending on where they are, their holidays may land a little bit different. But that is in the works. There's a question here that says, Wolfie, any thoughts about any bug exchange listing for Caspa? I don't know what that means. Any idea?
What's a bug exchange? Oh, big probably means any big exchange.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Probably bug was a bug in the typing. So anyway, yeah, like I kind of mentioned, I just had mentioned before, but I can't say any names. But big fish are swimming around and sniffing the bait, and did some work to make sure that when they take a bite, everything's going to be in order. So the next steps up the ladder are on the way. It's just when you get to this level, this high up in the stratosphere, they never tell you when. The WEN meow, when meow, question mark, that they won't even tell me. They don't tell us at all. They just ask on the technical details and work on making sure it's all snapped in place. But the when, the green light, and they turn on, ding, 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 that part's a question mark. So it's just going to happen sooner or later, probably, hopefully, relatively soon. But other than that, we don't know.
Okay, so from Vite, is anybody working on the SC idea, smart contracts, and how much progress has been made? So there's the two ideas for smart contracts. It still stands. Of course, like we can't really make progress until Rust is in place, because without Rust in place, it's just not going to work. You program in Go, it's just going to be useless. So you can't really stage the smart contract idea yet, but the brainstorming is active. The two ideas were these were two ideas that Jonathan pitched first. Like maybe we should investigate these. Nothing's hard. Everything's in brainstorming phase. But one is to do like Ethereum based smart contracts and using Casper as a sequence layer, and that is supposed to be fairly easy to implement and can be done, so that way we can start doing some DeFi stuff pretty early and soon. Here it's not that intensive and doesn't need a lot of manpower. The other idea is native, which has got high demand for, but that takes considerable manpower. And as far as the progress been made, I know that Jonathan has an idea. I have no idea when he's willing to release it or talk about it, or if it's finished. Jonathan's the kind of guy that he puts his head down and he works hard, and you have to go out there and poke him a million times to get information. And I'd rather him like keep working. Actually, this goes for all devs. Like I'd rather not ever bug devs unless it's absolutely critical or like I really need some answers, because they're more effective working than they are me harassing them or us harassing them about stuff. So the progress, like I can't really weigh on too much of that. Still in the brainstorming phase, and I think it's going to be that way until Rust is finished. Vite also asks, is it possible to implement Dagnite and finish Rust by 2025? I can only speculate on this. Again, everything's test-based. Like everything's very academic with Caspa. We test first, optimize, and test again. if it's needed. So it's always about what the test reveals, how the test goes. We never like push out anything, half baked. And when you test, you just don't know what you're going to run into, or if you do need further optimization, maybe you don't. We've never had this version of Testnet 11 live to the public in global use yet. So the data gained from it will be insightful. I could speculate that Rust will be finished by 2025 if everything goes smooth. But I can't weigh in on that until we see it. Like we have to see what we run into and what's going on with it. And we don't like to broadcast until we prove. So once this test is out there, we prove that we're hitting our benchmarks. We show it, it gets peer review, then we take the next steps. It is kind of like a little bit different setting because the cast was so academic and we had a lot to prove. We are doing something that's never been done before. So it's important to keep that in mind, that we're not just making another network. We're breaking into like a whole new field of the convergence of high performance computing and consensus. This is just, it's revolutionary. So you have to also prove to other people that we're making this happen. We don't just promise, we actually prove. And that's important to keep in mind. So let's scout for some more questions here.
Sure. And let me just tack on to that. Like, I know Vite's, he's objective and he's asking questions that seem to be checking to see if all of these fantastic breakthrough technologies will be in place for 2025 for like the imagined or the awaited next bull run and like the blow off top probably. But something to just consider in a real general way is also like I've seen people make statements, and usually like pretty large accounts and real finance land guys on Twitter and so forth and YouTube that if you look at when the gold ETF came out, gold was in a bull run for 10 years after that. So there's no just because before big finance and Wall Street and institutions got into crypto overall, we've always had this 4-year cycle with a blow off ish top. There's no guarantee that it has to happen. Like it doesn't, if Bitcoin hits 100K, it doesn't have to go back down to 10K again, like within 2 months. It could stay at 100 or whatever it gets to. And the saying like a rising tide lifts all boats. Like there may not be like this sharp drop off of the whole market and retail leaves and it gets boring and everyone's sad for 2 years. That might not happen in 2025 or 2026. Like nobody knows. So there may not need to be this like race to finish by the this next like expected event. It may not be exactly like how everyone's picturing it in their mind this time.
Yeah, that's good insight to add too. We have a actual live speaker. That's exciting. Let me bring him in. Casper Alliance. All right, Casper Alliance, just let me know when you connect. Give me a heads up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me up on the speakers. It's truly an honor to be up here with such big minds. Definitely outweigh mine, but I just wanted to I was actually going to ask about the smart contracts, but you already touched on that, and I didn't know I was still requesting, so apologies for that. But if I could just quickly touch on what Wolfie said, quite often we all find that the narratives that people are expecting, quite the opposite actually happens. So everyone's aiming for this goal of when Rust, when smart contracts, 2025. Usually quite the contrary happens. But ultimately what Jonathan and all the team is doing is like Bubble was saying, is revolutionary. It's never done before, and we all need to be patient with that, because when it happens, it's going to be worth it. So yeah, that's all I want to say. I wanted to ask about the smart contracts, so you already answered that. So thank you so much, guys, and we just want to say we appreciate all of you and everything you do. Thank you so much.
Hey man, thanks for weighing in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. And you sound highly professional speaking as well. Nice job, and I don't think you're less smart than me. That's for sure. Yeah, you sounded pretty sharp. So thanks for being Caspa family. Yeah, and also it's important to point out that this occurred to me right after, as I was just reflecting on what we were just talking about with like catching the blow off top and all that stuff and being ready. Like this is like like the tortoise and the hare, the turtle and the rabbit, that myth or fable or whatever it is, where like the slow and steady wins the race. Like, not that we're slow because we're the fastest proof of work coin in the world already, but we're going for the long haul. We're planning on sticking around and being like a real big deal. So whatever we catch and whatever the rest of the world does with crypto doesn't matter that much. Our guys are just coming up with breakthrough stuff and making it come to life. And however it falls is gonna however long it takes and however it falls in comparison with everything else. It doesn't matter that much if you're really sticking around and you believe in our boys and you believe in the technology and you believe in the ability to pull breakthrough concepts from the ether, not Ethereum, but the actual ether where the ideas come from, then it shouldn't matter that much. You know what I mean? We're on a great trend. Everything's going up. The hash rate's going up. The adoption's going up. The community's growing. Everybody's stoked. And so that's the important thing. As long as we stay on this uptrend, upswing in all areas, then we're cool in my book.
Yeah, and we're still in our infancy. I mean, we're at near bottom. So this is like the first big, like not consensus change, but like big change, or like fork or whatever you want to view it as. So actually, this is a question probably for you, Wolfie. I know it exists, but I'm not sure any kind of details around it, or if it's being worked on. But Bitcoin Future is asking, are multi-signature wallets on the horizon, or will those likely come after Rust is fully implemented?
So we already have multi-sig wallet capability in the original CLI wallet, which is command line interface. So I've participated in multi-sig wallets. In fact, the Rust crowdfund wallet is a multi-sig wallet, and so is the DAG Knight one. So both of those large sums of crowdfunded money that pay the developers for lines of code, those are in like six party multi-sig wallets. So the capability is already there. Now you may be referring to like in a more of a graphical user interface type of like a desktop wallet. So I'm pretty sure, I think KNG, the new wallet that's based on Rust from Aspect, it's in private screening right now, but it should be out really soon here, within a week or two, I would imagine. That one probably has it in there, or it'll be added really soon, I would imagine. So that's good. And then let me just tell you, since we're talking about wallets, something that I've been working on about the last month, or maybe like month and a half. So there's like when you so far CasFam is mostly retail guys and enthusiasts, right? So we're nerds. That's how we heard about Caspa before it was on TV and everything, because it's still not really on TV. But as seen on TV. But wait, there's more. So there's a certain level of, remember I was talking about big fish? There's a certain level of fish that you can get to where you're such a big fish, you're not allowed to keep your coins in a regular people wallet like we all do. You have to keep it in an institutional custody, solution. So it's like a serious bank type setup for keeping coins in. Like, so obviously, these type of solutions are already they already have. So it's almost like an exchange. So just like, we're on Gate, we're on MEXC. So when we got on those exchanges, or any exchanges that we're on already, we had to do work with them. So we have to sit down with their developers, and I bring integration developers like Rob and DS and Coder of Stuff, and we tell them how the new technology that's present in Caspa works, and we get them going on it, and they add the software to their servers and their infrastructure. And then that's how you're able to deposit Caspa, and that's how you're able to withdraw and trade on there. So there's real big fish institutional custody solutions or providers that I've been speaking to, because the big fish can't start playing with Caspa until they have someplace safe to keep it. So that's really exciting. So that's like a wallet for like big boys. They're not even allowed to touch it until there's something that they're like what do you call it? Like their accountants and their their auditors can verify that the coins are there and stuff. So I'm just generalizing because I'm not allowed to talk about what I'm talking about with who it is or anything like that. But it's pretty neat. It's very high. It's a high boost of credibility that people like this would be interested in having anything to do with us. So that's another neat thing I just thought of when we were talking about wallets.
Cool. So I got a few more questions to address here. I'm going to address it to Rue and see if he can answer it. He's going to be stepping off here shortly. He's got family stuff to do. But Sudo wants to know, how can community members reach out to find out more information in terms of becoming a Caspa ambassador?
Yeah, so that's a quick and easy answer. If you go to the website, there's a button at the very top that says ambassadors. And on there, you'll see some pretty in-depth criteria. And then there's an application that you can fill out. You can always DM me as well if you have any questions, but it's fairly straightforward. The criteria the barriers is quite high. We're looking for very specialized type people. But if you fit the bill, then let's keep adding to it. With 32 ambassadors right now, I mean, to keep this thing going, we need hundreds all around the world, if not thousands. So reach out. We'd love to grow the team.
Very nice. Thank you, Mr. Rhubarb. And thanks for jumping in here, especially from the road. We appreciate it, man, and all your hard work. And just to point out, if you don't know and you're new, Rhubarbarian is the guy who invented the Caspa logo. That worn ancient coin look with the backwards K and the fantastic color that just pokes you right in the eye when you're scrolling through a list of coins. That was Rhubarb. So great job there, buddy.
Mac asks, what will happen to tokens during the hard fork? Will it be similar to Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, or no new coin mint?
So yeah, that's not we're not having it's not the same kind of a fork. Fork is a kind of a generalization for various network and software activations and splits and different things like that. But Caspa is not going to have something like that that's planned by us ever. So like Bitcoin Cash, they intentionally took everybody who already had Bitcoin, and then they made a copy. They cloned everyone. It was like buy one get one free. If you already have one Bitcoin, now you get one of this other coin also. So now you have two coins that say they're Bitcoin, but really one is only Bitcoin, and we all know who that was. So we're not going to have that. Yeah, anything that ever comes from our developers, you're not going to really need to do anything except just maybe upgrade your wallet or upgrade your node software or your miner, whatever you're doing, and whatever you already have, you keep, and whatever you buy after that, or you mine after that, or will sell after that, it comes out of the same pile or goes in the same pile.
Yep, it'll be pretty seamless, and there'll be plenty of information once that time comes for like miners and nodes and whatnot. We got a question here from Mr. Caspa. What is the time frame for Testnet 11 to be implemented on the mainnet? Well, we kind of covered that. There is really no hard time frame. It all depends on what Testnet's data gives and how the developers interpret it or need to optimize and whatnot. The cool question here is when will it be implemented on the mainnet? Testnet 11 and Rust actually is on a mainnet. Testnet 11 has a mainnet, or Rust is built on that mainnet as well. You just can't mine to it. It's kind of useless right now, but that mainnet is running with the test nets now. It's just a matter of when are we satisfied with testing and when do we want to roll it out? Is the new media company for CASPA events funded by the community?
So that's a great question. So for starters, I'm going to be investing in it myself as a startup. So that's how it's going to be breathed into existence. The spark of life will be coming from me. However, we will have, the potential revenue sources that we already have thought of, such as a good YouTube channel with like maybe following to the shows and live feeds from shows and stuff like that should get some views. And I have a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker out here from the Hollywood area, who I've been contemplating the possibility of doing like Caspa, the blockumentary, like a 20-minute short film about the actual, going back to the beginning, and Jonathan figuring out how he could speed up Bitcoin, and then how it evolved into turning into just Caspa and this wild thing that we have going on now. So that would be kind of neat, maybe a little documentary. And then merchandise, we can have some really good quality merchandise. There's already merchandise vendors around the world, but there's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition. So we may, sell some really cool hoodies and T-shirts and coffee mugs and maybe some other cool stuff that we come up with some really neat designs. I'd like to get some great designs going, and that can help chip in. There's other ways we can generate a little bit of revenue for the expenses of going to shows. We got Caspa Ray. That's our Dubai business developer that I work with a lot. He's great. Everybody knows Ray, I believe, and we're probably going to go visit him for a huge conference in Dubai. It's called Token 2049, and it takes place in April, I believe, this year. It's already next year. What am I talking about? Yeah, so cruising from California to Dubai, that plane ticket's kind of a lot of money, and Dubai has nice hotels, and they're not cheap either. So going over there would cost some dough. So if we can raise a little money by selling some cool stuff and getting some good views to help chip in for that, that would be neat.
Yeah, actually, that price tag was really hefty. Like it's a lot bigger than it sounds. It's pretty heavy price tag.
It is.
So Zoe here has a question about Cast Media. Is there a direct way to get involved yet with Cast Media?
Not yet. It's really still early in the phase. The thing's only been born in Nevada 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I got the corporate bank account set up. Root Barbarian's working on the logo, and I still have crypto business startup lawyer working with me on the next steps. I have my crypto accountant working with me on how I'm going to fund it and stuff like that. So it's really in the baby steps, thing, but it exists already. So that's good. It's not just an idea. It's in the first very stage of life. It's a tiny seed. It just cracked open and the first little leaves are coming out. So as it develops, of course, I'll keep the community aware and updated on what's going on with it.
So Toshi Hodomoto asks, I feel very bullish on Caspa. Why is it not big crypto guys talking about it more? Is there anything like it? So I guess there's a couple of reasons why the big crypto guys may not be talking about it. First off, it's very new. Again, we have that proving to do. It's like this, we're proving the science of it. We also have to prove that, hey, we're here to stay. So some people are slow to get off of like the top 10 ETC, like when they're looking around. Also, some of these guys, being in the marketing world, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Some of these influencers are marketing themselves. So, they expect to hold the service so that, they're expecting payment. We don't do any paid marketing. We don't do anything like that. So anybody that talks about Caspa, they're doing it on their own free will because they like the coin and they think, you know, that it's very promising. So some of your big influencer guys, you would have to research to see if they're like a marketing service or not, but you'd be surprised. A lot of them are. Do you have anything to add to that, Wolfie, about the
Sure.
big guys?
Yeah. So you have to think there's a dial, right? So it's like a balance, like left and right, and then right in the middle. So on the one side you have these huge guys with 600K followers, 1 million followers, 2 million followers on YouTube or whatever, and Twitter. Like on the one side, they have projects that for sure pay them to talk about them. Like you'll see a tweet or an article or some show like 3 altcoins that are gonna absolutely rip in the next bull run. And there are things that were like a big deal like in 2021 or something, and like they've been dead for like 2 years, and there's no way that's just because everyone just started talking about them right now. So that there's a foundation wallet and they cut a check or they sent 10 grand or 20 or $30,000 worth of something USDT to this guy to be included in the next article, right? So that's on like the left side of things. Then you have, like Bubblegum mentioned, we don't pay for anything. So then you have like super rare unicorns like Caspa, where the community is the biggest thing on Twitter, and the adoption and everything's going way up, and they just on the right side of the meter. Yeah, I have to mention, these guys will say to themselves, I'm fairly confident that I have to mention Caspa at least once a month just to stay relevant, or every once a week, or a couple times a month. Just I can't not talk about something everyone's talking about. So they FOMO into us. They FOMO into having to talk about us because we're just something you have to talk about if you're talking about crypto. So that's what we've seen already. Guys like Altcoin Daily, they'll tweet about us like once a month or twice a month and include us a little blurb here and there on their YouTube or whatever. It happens, and guys like that. But predominantly, you'll see them talking about Solana or these larger VC coins that are corporations that have issued, they create all the tokens at once from thin air, and they lock them up, and they have all that nonsense, and those guys can cut a check for anything they want because they made all the coins up front and kept them and sold some, and then they have money and tokens left or whatever they have. So we're not in that class. We're doing it the slow and steady wins the race way.
Yeah, so we're very much, if you read the book, we're very much in the grow category, and I just say grow because grassroots and organic is really long. But we're very grassroots and organic in our marketing strategies. Everything's pretty much word of mouth. We let the networking do itself. If you like it, you are the marketer. When it comes to like paying for marketing services such as that too. So where you see an account that has like 200 followers and it's a guy that you've never heard of, but he obviously has to be huge, right? Like a good chunk of that is bots. So we don't want to throw money at some of these guys just to feed bots. We actually want our information that we put out to hit real life eyeballs. So when you are doing this by word of mouth, it's going to real life eyeballs unless you're paying for bots yourself. Like I would rather get a whole bunch of people talking about it with 1,000 followers than 200,000 bots, because you're just feeding bots and it's just a waste of money and it's just not ideal. I want to actually get to people and get to engagement and have people talk or whatever. Also, it's kind of something to think about too. When you do talk about coins and stuff, we lean more into like discussion as opposed to like flat out attacking. It happens to us, and it's great to be defensive and talk about why Caspa excels at this, because it's not hard to do. Caspa crushes a lot, so it's not hard to be defensive about it. But when you do get onto like the attacking spectrum, and I see this a lot just in Twitter communities completely, the other side like shuts down. So that builds up defenses. So it is important to be like approachable and like educate and have a conversation. So when it comes to this engagement part that I was talking about, that's really, really interesting. And you don't even need to know the answers. You just got to open up the door. You open up the door, these guys are going to go find the answers. They're going to hop into Discord. They're going to ask more questions and stuff. So don't be afraid to, engage in conversation like that. And if you don't know the answer, point them in the direction. And that's all about the organic grassroots way, right? We're all here to get everybody on board and help each other out. We all want this financial revolution to happen. So it's an
True.
amazing time.
Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I got actually a question for you. Probably because you were more a part of Bitcoin than I was in its inception. Toshi also asks, how decentralized is Caspa versus Bitcoin?
So that's probably a great question. I'm not an expert. When I did start mining Bitcoin in 2011, it was probably similar to what Caspa's like, maybe like a year ago or maybe 6 months ago, right before the ASICs came out. I was using GPUs, video cards, to mine Bitcoin a long time ago. But so now I would probably say probably Caspa's, I would guess, more decentralized than Bitcoin, at least from a mining aspect, because there's some huge entities with large amounts of Bitcoin hash rate, that they're mining it. But also Caspa has some big players that have accumulated a bunch of ASICs now. So it's really hard to say. But and then I guess I'm not an expert either on the Bitcoin Core developer thing and how some entities are paying to influence them maybe to take this path or that path with some upgrades or software changes. I don't know. I just know I've heard like mumbling about that or something. So there may be something like that going on with Bitcoin because it's so famous and it's been around so long that is not present in Caspa. So maybe in the software development, on that front, we're maybe a little bit more decentralized. But all in all, I would say both are very decentralized compared to lots of other things that are out there. They're still both open source software, and anybody can participate. Nobody can freeze your funds on Bitcoin, nor can they freeze your funds on Caspa. So that's kind of neat. So we're similar, really. I would say more similar than dissimilar.
Yeah, I would. I think, in my opinion, because I don't even know, it's such a monster metrics to like absorb. I think, if anything, Caspa has been the most decentralized since Bitcoin, if not as decentralized. Just my opinion. Also, like, we have the whole, back onto the mining thing. We do encourage solo mining, and I think that's going to pick up once competition really hits. People are going to have to actually start looking at what they're doing, and not just take an easy route and hopping on a pool. That's still going to happen. But you're going to want to take your ASICs to solo mining because you're going to want to get the best value and bang for your buck and to do some more budgeting and breaking. So I got a guy that is requesting to speak here. One sec. All right, BTC World. Let me know when you're in.
Yeah, hello at all. Thank you, Bubblegum. Hello, Wolfie. It's Julien, the French ambassador. Maybe you see some works we did with Rhubarb, and thank you for Rhubarbarian for his help. It's just to thank you all because I'm in the adventure of Caspa since July 2022. And what's an adventure? It's fantastic to take part of the revolution and to help in France as I can to spread Caspa and the technology. I would like just to give some feedback from France, if you want. It's just like I have the opportunity to present Caspa for more than 600 students, and the feedback was really good. Students was really happy to try the technology, and it was easy for them to understand how it works, and it was the first step in blockchain for all the students in a digital. and it's very positive because I saw how they interact easily with Kaspa Wallet. And first, another feedback about mining. I have at home a KS0 from Ice River, and it's very smooth and it's very interesting to understand how to mine easily at home. If some people are interested about it, they can try with this first machine because clearly it's easy and it works so well. And I have good feedback too for mining. Is a big company in France. And for Captain Mining, it's a Canadian company that is specialized in mining. And they say that there is a lot of demand on KS3M, KS2, that it means that the mining of Caspar has a really good demand. And I think it's very positive to secure the network and for the long run for Caspar. And just the last thing, the last feedback is like Wolfie. I will contact you on Telegram if you're okay, because we will have some interview probably to do with Pure Player in France, magazine and website Pure Player who talk about crypto. And if you are available, I think it's good if you are here because you talk so well about Caspar that it's fantastic if you are here to talk about it. And thank you again to all. And it's a big honor for me to work with you as I can.
Hey, that's great. Thanks a lot. Yeah, of course I'll participate in something with you that you mentioned, and you know your English is you do a really good job, and I appreciate you doing work over there and doing stuff with the students, and everything you mentioned so far sounds great. So thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the feedback. That's awesome. Wish Rhubarb was here. He would have loved to have heard that. Which is also going to be a cool point. This is being recorded, so there should be transcripts and stuff for people that don't speak English. So if you want to share or whatnot or review later, that's possible. He brought up a good point or a cool idea that I wanted to tag on with the KS0. This is something that's very cool, and I hope it's a trend that kind of sticks. I mean, it is only just speculation, but I love the KS0. It's kind of made the transition from GPU to ASICs a lot more painless. For a fraction of the price of like a high-end GPU, you're getting more hash for less power and participating in a network more. And I think that's awesome. It's been making like this residential decentralization process like as optimal as possible, and made the transition from GPU to ASIC as you know smooth as possible. And I hope that trend continues. I do know like sales for the KS0 versus the larger ASICs. Well, it's the KS0 and the KS Pro versus the larger ASICs is selling for like a 5-to-2 ratio. Like they're outselling the other big ones by like 5-to-2. So that's considerable for decentralization if you are looking for like more stats on that. As far as the sales numbers, those aren't. I wasn't able to get those, but I did get that ratio at least. So we know a lot of KS0s are going out, and those are going to like just individuals. And I mean, there's some people that stack KS0s, but if you're going to do that, you know, a bigger one's probably more efficient. Let me scan real quick for some more questions. How's your time, Wolfie?
I'm good, man. I'm still chilling over here. While you're scanning, let me just add in something that I wanted to clarify or just make sure everyone realizes that we were talking about way earlier in the show when we're talking about Rust, and you mentioned the Rust rewrite and how it it started as a kind of a transcription from the Golang original software language into Rust. But it's important to point out that they're not. It's not just like taking like the Bible in English and translating it to the Bible in French. Like it's not just for the fun of it, just a different language so other people can understand or something like that. It's the fact is that Rust is a highly desirable language for crypto developers, and in particular, really Caspa developers. And the reason is that Rust enables the developer to leverage high performance computing aspects of modern hardware. like a really nice gaming computer, like a PC or a server these days, they're all going to have the multi-core processor, like the Ryzen 16 cores, 24 cores, or the new Intel, like the i7s, i9s, I think they're up to 14s, i somethings. I don't know what they are. The 14 700K, 14 900K. These CPUs that they're $300, $500, $600, $700. They're like higher end tower CPUs, for like gamers or like video editor guys or something like that. So anyway, these multi-channel brains, the CPU is the brain of the computer, and nowadays they all have like pretty much 8. Like my phone even has 8 cores, so it's like 8 little brains in the brain chip has 8 separate little brains to all think about different stuff at the same time. So Rust lets you take full advantage of that. And it also lets you take full advantage, I'm pretty sure, of the memory. So accessing the RAM, like I used to have a computer chip company in 2000, and we sold RAM, like RAM for computers. And back then it was single channel and it was really slow. Now you have DDR2 come out, DDR2, DDR3, DDR4. Now we're on DDR5, I think. That's direct data RAM or something, whatever it is. It's way, way, way faster. So Rust lets them dig in and fully get their hooks into that super fast hardware and utilize it and make the most of it. That's why Rust is really a big deal. So when we're testing out 10 blocks per second tomorrow with Rust, it's everything is written to take full advantage of modern fast hardware. It doesn't have to be that modern and that fast to still work, but if it is, it really helps out. So validating different blocks simultaneously inside the same CPU in different threads, different brains, doing different blocks. All you have to think of is close your eyes and think of a big store like Whole Foods or Target or whatever, Walmart, with all the cash registers. And there's a different person going to each cash register, and they're all open, and different shopping carts are checking out in different cashier lanes. That's exactly what's going to happen tomorrow with Rust. So we're going to validate different blocks in consensus in separate threads inside the same CPU. So nobody else in the world can do that, and we can do that now. So that's amazing.
Okay, so No Crypto Mad says, are there any general marketing plan to get more business to adopt CAS as a major alternative to payments? This is happening actually all the time. Me and Wolfie are always chatting with somebody about like retail point of sale wallet stuff. So I think one of the big factors at play here, and this is just in my opinion, I think once we have stablecoins on, we're going to see the market transaction part of Caspa be much more attractive. And the reason is because a lot of people, when they have their Caspa now, they're kind of hoarding it. They're holding it. It's just the nature of the coin, because they assume the value is going to go up. I mean, it's a good problem to have. They all assume that the value is going to go up for the people that are holding, and they don't want to spend it. So once we get some stables on, they will more than likely use those to transact, and there's a considerable benefit to do so on Caspa because it's so instantaneous. So when they do transact with stables, it's going to be at the speed of CAS, but at the value of a stable. And this is also attractive for merchants receiving payments because some people actually bank on cash flow, and they don't like speculative currencies that could be volatile and go up and down. Yeah, they would like it to go up, but if they don't cash in time or they're not traders and the value goes down, now that hits the cash flow problems, and it's a little more risky than merchants like. So once we get stables, I think this is really going to pick up. As far as like a marketing plan gearing straight for businesses, that's a lot of this is on us. It's really, if you see a business that you want to accept CAS, I recommend you reach out to them. More than likely, if they're accepting crypto payments now, they would like to accept as much as possible. I know now payments is pretty seamless, and we also have God, I'm drawing a blank. What's the other one? CoinPal. We have CoinPal that are pretty seamless, and they accept multiple currencies. So if they're already integrated with like now payments or CoinPal, they can accept cash pretty easy. Let's see. Okay, this is a tough question. But okay, this is actually directed to me. I mentioned last week that MEXC withdrawals of Caspa were upgraded to 200 transactions per second. Some transactions were still taking hours. Is this the fault of the exchanges? This is tough because it's a maybe. It's like a yes and a no. Well, part of it is we had to do some updates. Of course, when we had that spam attack that we had, that it was more like of an annoyance. They were spamming those dust transactions, and we had to make some adjustments. So by making these adjustments, it kind of snowballed into MEXC because MEXC was using an older version. So when MEXC was integrated into Caspa, it was back in the primordial days. Like they were one of our first big exchanges. And we had to make some changes along the way. And some of it has to do with not staying up to date. Some of it has to do with the fact that we had to make these necessary changes. And maybe there's some communication drops in between. When things run smooth, things are quiet. So this happens occasionally. So I mean, everything's quiet when everything's good until somebody makes noise and they're just not used to keeping tabs on it or whatever. I wouldn't say it's anybody's fault. I think it's just a natural progression of what happened. It was just the situation of the time. What else do we have? I don't have any speakers, so that's cool. Nick has a question. This is probably for you, Wolfie. Has there been any large-scale miners such as Riot or Marathon sniffing around CAS?
Hey, so I can't really report on sniffing, but I've heard a little here and there.
That's the CAS Media. Man, we have a lot of engagement. This is awesome, guys. This is very cool. And I'm glad you guys are all hanging out with me as I dig through this because there's a lot of questions. Optical fiber, make these suggestions in like you can either DM me or Wolfie. Probably Wolfie if it's more on the convention side because that's what CAS Media is going to align with. Yeah, Real Alpha, yeah, we're going to have the transcript for this available so you can translate to Italian. Anyone from Caspa ambassadors going to Blockworks DAS in London? If you guys are, JT McGibbon would like to know. What is the immediate plan for Caspa after 10 BPS is stable and hits the main net? Dagnite, smart contracts? Well, I can tell you that nothing has to be in order. And what I mean by that is that the development can happen in parallel. Who's to say that these aren't working on now? Actually, I know that they're being worked on now to some extent. So I know that Jonathan has a plan for smart contracts. I know that Dagnite has started over the summer. But how far can they go without Rust? I don't know. So that's the thing. We do a lot of things in tandem, and you also have to. So it's important, like with especially with like Sutton. So he's building Rust, and then he's also part of Dagnite. So he's looking into that. He's also looking into maintaining Golang, and he's troubleshooting with exchanges for Golang. Like these all these other tasks that aren't being weighed, he's doing all of this stuff at the same time. So it's not a matter of order. It's not like like a strict roadmap most people are used to seeing. It's a lot of multitasking, and all these things get done in tandem. So we have for the dust attack, he was him and Ori were working. Ori and Shy actually were working like around the clock at first for that. and they're also developing Rust and Ignite. It's pretty unreal. They're pretty amazing developers. Like their work ethic is crazy. I pulled a couple all-nighters with Sutton, and might even do so this Sunday too, just because hype, and I'm a nerd. Whatever happened with that CoinPal.io big promotional giveaway with OKX? Did that come and go already? I think that did come and go already. That is a question for CoinPal. But I think that airdrop already happened. I think it was like an airdrop thing. So as far as I knew of it, I wish Rhubarb was here. He's more plugged into it because he actually designed the NFTs. If you got an NFT, you got a certain proportion of this big reward airdrop, and it was fairly smaller than most people realized because so many participated because it gets divided. So you have to look at it. I think I did one just to test and troubleshoot for people, and I got like 1.7 CAS, but it costed like 0.001 CAS or something like that. So, I mean, it's just free money, um, even though it was like not as big as everybody's hoping. But I mean, that's how it works, right? You have a lot of participation. Um, it gets divided up smaller and smaller. Hey, Quiet Bear enjoyed Wolfie's take.
Yay.
Do you want to answer a price question? It's a price
The
prediction.
price is right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't do price, but there's been a couple questions on where do you think the price of Casper will go?
I mean, they say the trend is your friend. So if you draw a line from day one to right now, it's generally going up over time, and I see no reason for that to not continue along with all the other metrics, of course, hash rate and adoption and community growth. So I don't see any reason why over time, as everything else goes up, that the price would probably follow the trend. The trend is your friend. That's all. That's all I could say, really.
Block 618 has a question, probably for you. It's a popular question. What's the incentive for miners when, in the distant time in the future, the block rewards are minuscule and they don't get a lot of money from TX fees because they're so tiny? And what's actually just push this question a little further? What happens when block rewards cease to exist and we're just
Sure.
mining?
Sure. So, Jonathan, our fantastic founder, has said that block rewards are really just a crutch, like just a little, to nurse along a network to see if it really makes it. But I think the transaction fees are supposed to be what keeps it going forever, or like relatively forever. So right now, there's not a whole lot of transactions happening because we just do the send coins from one guy to another dance, which is a great start. Once the smart contracts are there with Jonathan's own twist on the MEV resistance and super fast and instant confirmation and all kinds of neat DeFi stuff is going on, I don't believe it's outlandish to expect that it would still be a good idea to leave your ASIC plugged in when that's the case, And don't forget, these are some of the sharpest guys in the world. I really think the sharpest crypto minds in the world are working on Casper right now. I think that's who made it, and who brought it to life, who envisioned it and brought it to life are definitely in the tippy top of the smartest and most brilliant guys in the world of crypto. So if they could think of this whole great system that's not even halfway done yet in being created and brought to life, like you think it's really going to be a roadblock that we run out of coins, that they can't figure out an ingenious method to adjust transaction fees or something. There's going to be a way that everything's going to work. If we have the best network in the world, there's going to be a way to keep it turned on. I don't see how that's not going to happen. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it.
Also, when we're living off fees like that, this is like long term in the future. So the rate of adoption is kind of unpredictable, but I don't think we're going to have too much of a problem with that. Wolfie brought up MEV earlier. This is really attractive to all kinds of other blockchains. So the fact we have those fast moving blocks is something that's going to be pretty attractive for other chains to maybe use as to maybe take advantage of Caspa's, modular opportunities. So we have one from Kumo. Are there any updates to the development page in caspa.org to come regarding statuses, excluding Rust, please? So Kumo, right now this development page is very geared towards like mainnet devs, like the actual core of Caspa, the network itself. So right now everything that's captured is there, but there is talk about trying to, maybe getting some ecosystem stuff in there. So right now the world's kind of divided between like the core network stuff and the ecosystem stuff. And the ecosystem stuff will really pick up once Rust comes along. So like for instance, if the network I don't believe has any plans to make a DEX, even though I know some networks do run their own DEXs. I don't think there's going to be any plans for that. But an ecosystem dev probably wants to make a DEX, and it's probably going to happen. So do we want to cover that? I'm not sure. I'm sure that's going to be talked about here in the near future, especially on Casper Discord, because that's where most of the governance happens. But yeah, it is being chatted about, and I know somebody is working on their own version of this, and yeah, hopefully we'll come up with something. I'm not sure what the direction is though, to be honest. The comments section is amazing, guys. I've never struggled so hard to find so many things. You guys are wild today. I love it. Will CAS be quantum proof? Really, this is a question for Shy.
It is a Shy question.
It is very much. Yeah.
I forget he answered it in like the actual answer, which doesn't fit in my brain. But basically, what I've taken from it is it's kind of nonsense and nothing to worry about, joke. And if the need so be, when the time is right, a solution can be hammered out, and so it's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and he actually did just put out a paper not too long ago for his, I think his thesis, that was talking about like quantum lifting on on procrastinators. If you want to dig into that further, it gets kind of complicated, but Shy covers, he's our quantum researcher, so he's a great one to reach out to. Trader CR, can you please touch on the European ETF that we're hearing about? That is information from Uphold that we've seen Dr. Martin tweet. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything, Wolfie?
They had no direct interaction with us from a business development standpoint. However, they really shouldn't need to. It's it sounds like a traditional finance product that I believe they called an ETP, exchange traded product, over there somewhere in Europe. He just Dr. Martin, he's very unlikely to say something that specific if it wasn't based in fact. So I would expect it to be true, but I don't know who it is or when it's coming out or anything.
Mm-hmm. And this could be just that he heard word that is being worked on. Like we've seen now with the Bitcoin ETFs, they can get denied. So maybe it did and we just didn't hear. I don't know. But it could be a couple of different things where regulatory could hold it up. So 6 says I missed it. When will the CPU mining be available? For exclusively the testnet, you can CPU mine right away this Sunday. If you're talking about CPU mining in general to like a mainnet, it's probably always going to be dominated by ASICs and not worth. Actually, I know it's not going to be worth. But yeah, for testnet on Sunday, you could start CPU mining for the testnet.
That's right. Yeah. So just to reiterate, the CPU coins that you get tomorrow are testnet coins. They're not. They have zero value except for they're for testing purposes only.
Monopoly monies. With Caspa moving to Rust and 10 BPS, do you think existing Rust projects and other Rust change will migrate to Caspa? You know, I think maybe. I am not a hardcore coder. I do know that there's a lot of things swapping over to Rust. This could be one of these major big brain plays that nobody foresaw. At least I didn't. But I'm seeing like smart contracts and stuff getting built on Rust now, which is pretty interesting, right? Because we're going to this new Rust system. So maybe I don't see why not. Any thoughts on why Rust wasn't used from the beginning of Caspa's inception? Well, Caspa is very like test based, like I said. So they just kind of like were really trying to build this block tag, and I think the language was just kind of convenient. Really, I know like some of it was borrowed from other things to make this happen, and with this Rust transition, they've built freshly from the ground up. Like none of the old code is really carried over. It's all fresh.
True. Yeah, I always thought of it as sort of like Golang was like the modeling clay. So they had to assemble the different modules with each with their own little breakthrough technology, such as the pruning mechanism, the DAA, the difficulty adjustment algo. All of those things they had to work on separately, like organs inside your guts, and then assemble them into one working system to get the network going. So that was the beginning of it, and then once they proved that the network could happen with simultaneous blocks, shortly thereafter they realized the possibility of rewriting it to leverage the high-speed hardware.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to view Golang. That's the modeling clay. That's actually a really good take. Wolfie, is Jonathan Satoshi?
I think maybe Satoshi himself was more than one person, and I think Jonathan, I would tend to think he may have been involved or been very close to some people who were part of the group that put together Bitcoin. And I would also think that if there is one main guy or whatever, that for sure he would vote that Jonathan was his nephew. Like he would pass the torch and say, "Here you go, buddy. You're picking up where I left off, and you're doing a great job." That I have no doubt about. So other than that, it's all speculation, right?
The one buff or boof.crow, DM me, please. Is YS still working on something? YS never stops working. The guy's a robot. Like if you look at his Twitter bio, it says he's like a crypto addict or something like that. It's very much true. He eats, breathes, lives crypto.
Let me tell you something else, you guys. I'm just going to segue here for a second while you're scanning for new questions, and I'll try not to ramble. But everybody has heard of OCD, I think. And if you haven't, it's obsessive compulsive disorder. So I'm not a developer, but I fix stuff like systems, computers, laptops, any kind of machinery. I can, pretty much just fix it without the instructions or whatever. Just take it apart, look over here, change one little piece. So even like I got known for doing this around wherever I live, and family and friends like, "Hey, my laptop's doing something weird. You think you can take a look at it?" And of course, like, "All right, yeah, let me take a look," drop it off, and I look for a couple of days, and then I return their laptop or whatever it was, right, that was broken. So I can't stop working on somebody's laptop until it's perfect. So I work on everything I touch. I work on like it's my own, and I can't stop till it's perfect. Okay, that's like OCD in a good way, where it's not detrimental. It's not actually a disorder because it's not causing any harm. But our developers have the same thing. Everybody, not just the core developers, everybody, my integration guys like Rob and DS and Coder of Stuff, everybody, Sutton, Ori, everybody that works on Caspa is OCD, and they can't stop until it's perfect. So this is just something I want to make sure everybody knows about. It's not like I've seen other people that work on stuff where they do the bare minimum. They just put a little patch on and quit the squeaky wheel, and just so it shuts up until someone complains again. Our guys are exactly the opposite. They don't stop till it's perfect and the most optimized that it can be. That's what you're going to see with Rust tomorrow on Testnet 11.
Absolutely. Hey, we got Josh Metnick. He wants to speak. I hope he didn't wait long. I've been looking on the text. Hey, Josh, bringing you in. Just let us know when you connect. You're
Hey,
muted,
Josh, unmute.
Oh,
Yep.
hey guys.
There he goes.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Yeah, Bubblegum Lightning, Wolfie. Yeah, it's great to be on here, and thanks for allowing me to ask a question or make a couple of comments. And I've been a supporter of the project for a while now, and so any kind of questions or concerns that I have, kind of come from just wanting to make this project as best that it can be, and get cast with a $1, $3, $10. And keep growing adoption. But on the topic of decentralization, Balaji, Srinivasan, like whatever one thinks about him, some years ago he put together, it was a study on decentralization across like different crypto projects, and he used what's called like a Gini coefficient, and it was I don't think it was like super scientific what he did, but it was an interesting approach, where it's like this mathematical, kind of just a quantization of a measure, if you will, I guess, of objective measure of decentralization, where like 0 represents perfect decentralization, and I think 1 is perfect centralization or something. And he ranked a bunch of projects along a few different axes. So mining, which was kind of came up before, people tend to focus on mining, and obviously mining decentralization is important. But then there's kind of the distribution of holders. And there's another metric that I think he honed in on, which was the decentralization of the developers. And I mean, I love the stories of just the passion of, people pulling all-nighters to, kind of get stuff done on the coding front. But it's also kind of concerning in some ways too, right? So like Bitcoin, could be argued that the core devs are somewhat centralized, but at the same time, Satoshi's kind of moved on, and the project is now beyond that one individual. So I'm just kind of curious, like if anybody has any insight, like Wolfie or Bubblegum Lightning, if you guys have any insight on kind of like what's the plan to add like more developers kind of to the ecosystem, like how does that work, and yeah, just some thoughts on that would be appreciated. So hopefully that made sense there.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Yeah, Josh.
Thanks.
So I can tell you just really quickly before Bubblegum chimes in as well. So it just like maybe 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, really it was just Michael Sutton and Ori who were intimately aware with the inner workings, especially of Rust, and maybe Shai also had quite a grip on what was going on, and of course Jonathan understands the whole thing, and I'm sure he's deeply involved. He is. But then with the Rust rewrite, community coders started to pop up and begin to engage and help and write and learn. And now we have Tyrum, we have Coder of Stuff is amazing. He knows it. Rob knows it. We have, and there's a few other ones. I'm not in the dev channel on Discord paying attention all the time, but there's community guys who have come and stepped up, and they begin to learn about the great subtleties and new things in all of our breakthrough technologies, and they become fully fluent in the software and the inner workings. So this happened naturally and organically, just like all of our other things so far. And the neat thing is, these guys are starting to get paid. So these crowd funds for Rust and for Dag Knight, when somebody contributes meaningful lines of code, they are rewarded a percentage of this very large bounty cash that we have, that we crowdfunded in almost the beginning of the project. So So it's neat. So that attracts them. And so far, it's been all organic, but I would tend to believe that as the adoption grows and awareness grows, especially going to global conferences this year and other things, that that will even pick up more and more as we go along.
Yeah, so actually, we did start with that small crew. We had like 3 or 4 really dedicated guys, but now we're up to about 20 that's working on the actual core network. And over the summer, I was pushing for these devs. Like I was putting out like articles, and even the press release that I put out was like to attract some devs. Like I had like a little call to action. And if you're a dev and you love Rust and you want to be in the cutting edge, come check us out. Oh, that these pushes actually kind of were a little hard, and we brought in quite a bit. And it's right now like they're also training these new guys to come up at the same time. So back onto that like parallel action where we can do multiple things at once. Add training to this metric too. So like they're also bringing these guys up to speed. I did get put on like a documentation group in Discord. I haven't had a chance to dig into it. My time's been like really squashed lately, but we're looking at training materials to make this more efficient and hopefully getting some more people that are catching up to speed to get in on this, so that way we could start like building like easy to access materials to learn how to contribute and stuff. And then the bottom line of it all is Caspa is all open source. So if anything catastrophic were to happen, anybody that's willing to learn could pick it up and continue with the project. So that's the beauty of open source, is that it's an open gateway for anybody to be a part of.
And has there been any engagement with the Rust open source community, like direct engagement with the Rust open source community? Because they're reasonably well organized, and like we've been coding in Rust for 5 years. I'm a huge believer in the language. It's awesome. Like I was like so happy that they kind of went that direction. Yeah, there's some pretty big. I mean, some pretty big online kind of like official, if you will, like Rust communities, and this project, just knowing the nature of like the best Rust developers, they like to work on kind of high speed asynchronous kind of projects. So I think this would be like super attractive to Caspa would be super attractive as a project to kind of like the best of the best Rust developers that are out there, because it's rare to be able to participate in a project with this kind of scale. So I don't know, if there's any way to kind of engage with the Rust community, might be a suggestion, or maybe that's being done already. I don't know, but
It's probably being done already. I don't know firsthand knowledge because I'm not a GitHub pro, and getting into that stuff is gets kind of wild. But I do know that there has been some like hardcore Rust developers that have been they've kind of moved into Caspa. Like these guys were like really big time Rust OGs since its inception and stuff. So I can assume that they're probably plugged in, but I don't know for sure. That's a cool question to ask, though. I will look into that.
okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I can't think of a better. I mean, I can't think of a larger project with more potential as far as just like size and volume and speed of any Rust implementation that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of all the Rust implementations that are out there, but off the top of my head, I mean, it's hard for me to think of anything that's. I mean, I would imagine Caspa was at least in the top 10, top 5, and yeah, it would be a kind of a dream project for the kind of the best of the best Rust devs to work on. So anyway, yeah, thanks.
No, that's a great
Neat.
point to raise. Actually, I really like that. I will look into that more for sure. That's really good insight. Thanks, Josh.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. And also, Josh, I just wanted to say thanks. Josh was like one of the first professionals to recognize Caspa. I remember somebody finding a tweet of his, probably from almost a year ago, maybe, and it said something like, "Thank you, Jonathan Sampolinski. Thank you, hashtag, for creating the most meaningful piece of proof of work software since Bitcoin," something like that, and somebody found it and brought it to my attention. And I said, wow, look at this guy. This guy only tweeted once this year so far, and he's a professional. He designs mining data centers for corporations around the world. And if he thought it was worth it to tweet, he waited 5 months out this year to tweet his first tweet. And this is what he's talking about: is Jonathan being a wizard and making the hottest thing since Bitcoin. That told me, like, hey, I'm a little nerd, like, enthusiast with my little stupid GPUs over here in a corner somewhere, and I think CASP is great, but maybe I'm just imagining things. But if this guy says it's great, holy smokes, I must be onto something.
Oh, thanks. You guys have kind of brought me out of Twitter retirement too. Like now, 75% of my tweets, which are more often now, like they're all like Casper, Casper, Casper. But my hypothesis, or at least my belief is, Josh, I think like the evolution of blockchains will be demarcated and at least up until like three. There's like kind of three periods. There's like the Bitcoin period. There's an Ethereum period, and then Casper. I mean, those are like the three markers to me. I mean, having been in this space for over a decade now, it's just like every once in a while and it's rare. There's like a kind of an aha, like an epiphany. It's kind of like, holy cow, like this changes everything. And
I really agree with that, and I see much the same. It seems like the block tag really has the chance to be the next blockchain. Like that's just the natural evolution of things. Because right now we're kind of just like strapping blockchain on top of another blockchain and make a block lattice or whatever. It's just a version of a blockchain with a blockchain with a blockchain. But really, the architecture itself hasn't changed until now that I've seen. So I agree with that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, tell us, if you don't mind, tell us what, I mean, that's what my understanding of what your day job is, but it's fine with me if you tell us first, tell us a super quick version. What do you do? Like, you're highly credible. Your opinion is more than a regular, like, hodler kid from like, Uniswap or something. Like, tell us what you do and why your opinion is highly valid.
Well, I for some, I guess, with the latter, but yeah, thanks. Thanks for the kind words. Yeah, so I've been mining since 2013. That's really, mining Bitcoin. Back then, and I've always Bitcoin's always had a kind of a piece of my heart. And probably until Casper, like the largest piece of my heart, but I'm definitely not a maxi. I mean, like I was Litecoin mining and with a Titan ASIC for that company KNC. It was like back like 2015, I think. And so like I keep kind of an open mind to, I was doing some early Ethereum kind of, proof of work mining. And what my company does today, like we consult with a number of, so there's a software side to what we do, which is actually Rust with a little bit of Go. And there's an infrastructure side to what we do, where we work with some of the largest mining companies that are out there. And that's about all I can say.
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're
enough,
legit. Your day job is you do professional services with some of the biggest companies in the world that have anything to do with mining crypto.
Yeah, we work with companies that are over 100 megawatts in scale. Let's kind of put it that way. So,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
Josh,
it's unbelievable. I mean, yeah, I just was mining in my apartment, 10 years ago. It's like, it's crazy. I mean, it's amazing, and I love the adherence to proof of work within Casper. It was like, yeah, very cool.
That's a cool start from an apartment to 100 megawatts. That's quite the journey. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah, it's an amazing journey.
All right, I got a couple more requesters, so I'm going to move on. Josh, you have anything to add?
No, yeah, I appreciate the forum, the podium there for a little bit. And yeah, keep up the great work. So thanks.
Thanks, man.
Thank you,
Appreciate
buddy.
it. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay. Yep.
All right, Elper, you're going to be joining. Let us know when you connect. And you're muted, buddy.
Alper, hit the mute button one more time. Hit it one more time and then speak, please.
Okay, I'll leave him up, see if he connects, and then I'm gonna pull in the next one. Keno Mike, let us know when you connect. And then I think after this, guys, we're pushing past 2 hours. I think we're gonna probably cut it only because I want this information to be distributed afterwards and for translations and stuff. And 2 hours is quite a lot of information. I kind of want this to be digestible. So after these guys, I think we can wrap it up. You good with that, Wolfie?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. You know what? I wish next time I have to take the plane somewhere, can we have one while I'm on the plane? Because this is a very fast 2 hours. 2 hours on the
Yeah,
plane
right.
compared to 2 hours. Twitter Spaces, man. I feel like I've been just pacing around my office drinking bubble water for like 15 minutes, and that's about it.
I know. This is a great space compared to like it's been a little while, so I think everybody's catching up on us and slamming us with questions, and we got some good participation. Um, Mike's not connecting either. So let's take one more question from text, and then I guess we can call it. Let's take a look what we have. Oh, here's a cool question, and it's pretty speculative because we haven't seen it yet. But if CASPA ends up in ETFs eventually, is there a risk of institutions centralizing miners or manipulating cash via forks, like I fear is happening with Bitcoin?
Okay, so I'll just tell you the simplest street answer is that real crypto happens in according to the rules of the jungle. Anything you can do, anything you catch, you keep. Period. So I don't know what anybody thinks can happen to Bitcoin or speculation or institutions controlling it or mining, but I would still say if it ever happens, it's going to be a quality problem. By that time, we're going to be pretty famous and everybody's going to be pretty cozy. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And also remember, like I pointed out before, when people were curious about what happens when there's no coins left for block rewards. Our developers came up with this fantastic breakthrough network, and I think they're well capable of figuring out a lot of solutions to any problems that arise along the way of our incredible journey in the future.
And we haven't seen it happen, right? Like we haven't seen what happens when Bitcoin goes to an ETF. So I think that's going to be really telling as well, and that's going to be your best observation platform, really, just to see how it goes with Bitcoin. Who knows? Could be
Exactly.
epic. Could be who knows?
And bear in mind with the Bitcoin ETFs, they have to buy the Bitcoin. Just like if you remember Uphold, before Uphold had the full integration of Caspa, people would send money to Uphold and they would buy Caspa and you couldn't withdraw it, but Uphold was buying the Caspa and holding it for you, and they proved it on you could look at how much Caspa they had any second of the day that you wanted. They had their live proof of reserves going. So from what I understand, the Bitcoin ETFs in the United States will be quite similar. It's just a way for like pension funds and insurance companies and family offices to have direct exposure to Bitcoin itself without having to worry about holding on to the physical coins, even though there are no physical coins, but you know what I mean. So if $1 billion comes into the BlackRock ETF, they have to buy $1 billion worth of real Bitcoins and let Coinbase hold them for them. So if such a thing takes place, like we were speaking about the ETP in Europe for Caspa, I'm pretty sure they would follow similar rules to where if $1 million comes into the exchange traded product that represents Caspa, then that financial institution that's offering the paper version of Caspa will need to go and buy $1 million worth of Caspa on the market or OTC and keep it in an institutional custody solution of their choosing. So I don't see taking $1 million worth of Caspa off the street as being bad. It's just people doing what they want, which is accumulating things, breakthrough technology.
So I'll take this one last question because it's also a good closer. What is the best way for us non-coding individuals in the Caspa community to contribute to the network other than spreading the word? Will it help if we run home miners or anything else? Absolutely, it would help. Running a node isn't that tough, and you can do that pretty simply just to assist the network and grow it and further decentralize it. Take part in the testnet this Sunday. I mean, you don't need to get too technical if you don't want to. If you just want to run a node, just download the software, follow the tutorial, and run the node. You don't have to mine to it if you don't want to. If that gets out of your comfort zone, it's also not difficult to do so. But yeah, you could do it that way. Some of the best ways to participate in Caspa, though, is to spread the word. Like, I know you have other than spreading the word there, but it is to spread the word. Ask people about Caspa. Ask your favorite influencer to cover Caspa. Ask your favorite exchange to support Caspa. Ask your favorite merchant to list Caspa. That is the best way to really make Caspa grow at this point in time. I mean, if you go to our AMA with Change, back in the day, me and Wolfie had an AMA with Change, and I think it was their CFO or CTO or one of their officers. She was like, yeah, one of the main driving factors is you guys kept asking us to list. And that is the best way to do it. You got to show the demand. I mean, they can't keep their eyes closed to demand forever. And that really does wonders for getting support, like show them the demand. And, if it works for Change and it works for other exchanges, it can work for pretty much anything. I'm not saying go and harass them or attack them, but, asking nicely to please support Caspa or saying, hey, here's the benefits of, supporting Caspa, stuff like that. We want to be like friendly and welcoming and user-friendly and educational. That's huge. Also, if you want to take part in the governance, please check out the Discord. Discord is where all kinds of things happen with governance, and people are participating in other projects that aren't just coding. If you want to code, though, that's the place to go. You can spark up conversations with all the devs, find projects to work on. We have translators. There's Helix runs the translators, and all kinds of translation projects going on. And we have like other marketing media tweets. You got YouTubers that are constantly posting in there. There's a lot you can do, and the Discord actually has like the biggest collective. You can also stop by the Telegram if you just want to like hang out and chat Caspa. There's many avenues and many different socials that you could pick your favorite and what you're most comfortable with. Do you have any closing thoughts, Wolfie?
Not really, man. We covered almost everything. I'm just super stoked to get Testnet 11 going tomorrow. I think I might go to the good old computer store down the freeway here called Micro Center and buy some new guts and make a nice hot rod just so I can have fun and be right there, right in the race with everyone else. It should be really fun. So I think I'm going to do that, and I invite everybody. You don't need new stuff. I think, a decent laptop or a decent, gaming computer will be way plenty to participate and have fun and be part of making history. I mean, this, like Josh Metnick was saying, like every decade, every 10 years, a breakthrough comes out. Like Bitcoin came out in 2009, Ethereum came out with smart contracts in 2015 or whatever. And now Caspa has the block DAG, simultaneous blocks, parallel blocks. And being 6,000 times faster than Bitcoin tomorrow, that's going to be really fun to test out. So if you got an old computer lying around, fire it up and grab the details off of Discord or Telegram and jump in the fun shenanigans with us all.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be running a test node myself this Sunday. I'm stoked to see it. I'm not a big miner or coder, and I figured it out. It was pretty easy. I did it last time to participate, and I'll be doing it again. There is some hardware specs that's recommended, but these aren't really hard fixed. I have people trying on Raspberry Pi 4 and 5, I think. with not making these specs, but they're going to try it to see if they can do it. But the specs recommended right now are 16 gigabytes of RAM, an 8-core CPU, 128 gigs SSD drive. But again, these are a little over the top. I think the data directory is like 70-ish gigs, 70 to 80 gigs. So yeah, feel free. And and if you do decide to try to route a Raspberry Pi and if it fails, come report it in the Testnet channel in Discord. We'd love to hear about it and see what we can do to squeeze and support.
Sure. Hey, now that you're mentioning it, do we have any time zone, like time slot when they're gonna post the binaries or whatever?
Yeah, it was UTC time. Let me see here, 8 p.m. UTC. So you'll have to convert that to your local.
Okay. Neat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be reasonable for me and you, Wolfie. I think it was like after work for me or something. I was talking to Sutton at Time Love, so trying to remember. But yeah, 8 p.m. UTC. Yeah, everybody, thanks for joining. I had amazing engagement today. Love hearing from you all. Hope you had happy holidays and an epic new year.
Yes, exactly. Thanks everyone for coming and listening. Thanks for listening to us ramble, all of our shenanigans, and we thank you for being Caspa family worldwide. And we're gonna have a great year.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.